Hey guys, how you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm slowly getting over the fact that one of the um, YouTubers I subscribe to uh, was deprived of, you know, my watching it, and I was basically told you're not allowed to watch what we don't want you to watch. Yeah, that's what's happening in America, folks. That Big Brother is telling us we will control what you want to watch. And if we don't want you to watch something you want to watch and you would like to watch, we have that control and power to prevent you from watching what you want to watch and what you like to watch. So, we're in Aurelian times now. And that's a fact. Okay. Speaking about accountability, okay. Um, Something dawned on me this morning about um, Mr. Robert Francis O'Rourke's outrageous statement that President Trump is a racist and white supremacist and all that crap, and that there were boycotts against his visits, and when I saw a banner that said "Not Welcome," it was then that I realized I know exactly, and I mean exactly, who is responsible for the polarization in this country and who is responsible for the divisiveness in this country. And I'll tell you it's not President Trump. Not in the least. And I want to share with you some wisdom that articulates very clearly that President Trump is not dividing this country. Okay? To do so, I'm going to bring the Torah, the Bible, into this. Okay? And it's essential. And it's central to my whole message in this video. Okay? I learned from Rabbi Golub of Shalom TV, which is now another acronym. Okay. About the rabbi's interpretation of the Garden of Eden story in Genesis. I guess that would be chapters 2 and 3. Okay. Now, there was one tree, actually there were two trees in the Garden of Eden. There was the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and the tree of life. And we had two people in the Garden of Eden, the man and the woman. They were not identified as Adam and Eve until the 4th chapter. Okay. Until then, there were a man and a woman, unnamed. And the name Adam, which is my middle name, by the way, comes from the Hebrew word Adamah, which means earth, that it said we were created from. I mean, heck, the moon was created with elements from the earth too, But, so, God tells the man, do not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And he tells the woman. And so what happens is the serpent, now some Christians call the serpent Satan or the devil, okay? And it was just a serpent who chose, okay, who chose to tell the woman that it is good to eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil and so forth. So the woman influences the man to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which happened to be a fig. It wasn't apples. Okay. So the man chooses, first the woman chooses to eat of the tree from knowledge of good and evil, and then says, here, it is okay. And so the man chooses to disobey God and eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Okay. So God then calls out the man, where are you? Now, God was not asking a location question like what tree or bush are you hiding behind? Okay. Why would God ask the man where he was? That doesn't make sense, because God is God and God knows everything. So why wouldn't God know where the man was? So we know by that logic that God was not asking what tree or bush I mind, because God knows. Basically, God was saying to the man, not really where are you, but who are you now? Now that you, because the man hid. So when the man came forth and said, I am here, and God asked, why were you hiding? And he said, because I am naked and I hid. Now, what did he hide out of embarrassment for being naked? No, the nakedness is a metaphor, because God clothed the man with a commandment. Thou shalt not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So when he did, he was no longer clothed in that commandment, and so he became open and naked. Naked now, because now he feels, I did bad. I did something wrong. And whenever any of us do something wrong, and we know we did something wrong, we feel almost naked. We feel like the spotlight is right on us. That's the guilt. That's the guilt of basically missing the moral bullseye, which is basically what a sin is. The Hebrew word for sin is hate, not hate, but hate. And hate is a term of archery, which means missing the mark, literally. So a sin is really a moral failing. It's, according to Christian tradition or Christian teaching, a sin is identified only as transgression against God, By the Jewish tradition, a sin is a moral failing, which is what you do when you do something wrong. You do something opposite of what you were told to do. And when you do the opposite of what you're told to do, which you know is wrong, you feel guilty. That's why all these people that are stopped by the police, with drugs in the car or on them, have to hide them, because they know they did wrong. And when the cops are there, they feel, oh my God, which is how you feel if you were naked. Like, oh my God, oh my God. Okay. And that's why they say, oh, the drug's not mine, the drug's not mine. So they feel, oh my God, the spotlight is on them. Oh my, oh no, I hope I don't get arrested. I hope nothing happens. Oh, because they did something wrong. And that's what the man did in the Garden of Eden. He hid. He hid for the very same reason, because he realized he did something wrong. So he hides. And when God asked him, did you eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Again, why would God ask that? Why would God ask that? God is God. God knows everything. So wouldn't God know that he did it? Why did God have to ask him like a police interrogator, right? Basically, that would be the case. Because the only reason why God asked the man if he did it, is to see what the man would say. Now, what should the man have said? The man should have said, yes, God, you were right. I did eat from the tree. I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. And I feel horrible. What can I do to make it up to you? But that's not what the man said. The man passed the buck. He put blame elsewhere, saying, the woman made me do it. It's the woman's fault that I ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Because, she made me do it. And you brought her to me, God. It's your fault too, because this woman, you gave me this woman. So not only is it her fault, but it's also your fault, God, for giving me this woman. So he's finger pointing everywhere except the man in the mirror. Okay, the man in the mirror is really who is at fault, is really who did wrong. But he said, I didn't do it. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I ate from the tree, but it's not my fault. It's her fault and your fault. Because of the two of you, I, ate from the tree, which I shouldn't have done. So God asked the woman, what did you do? What have you done? And did the woman say, you're right, God, you're right, God. The man told me not that it wasn't allowed. The man told me I should not eat the tree. And I did it anyway, and I am so sorry. Please forgive me. How can I make it up to you? But she didn't do that. She passed the buck too. She laid blame elsewhere also. She blamed the serpent. The serpent made me do it. By paraphrase of the serpent beguiled me. Okay? But she basically said, the serpent made me do it. It's not my fault I did it. It's not my fault I did it. It's the serpent's fault because the serpent made me do it. So, the reason, according to the rabbis of the Jewish tradition, the reason why, oh no, not that, but not that either. The reason why the man and the woman were exiled from the Garden of Eden was not for disobeying God, was because they did not take responsibility for the wrongs that they did. They did not accept responsibility. They were not accountable for their actions. And just as a sideline, the Torah text has a different explanation as to why the man and the woman were exiled from the Garden of Eden. It says at the end of chapter 3, lest the man and the woman eat from the tree of life and live forever. Therefore, therefore, the man and the woman were exiled. So, according to the Torah text, the man and the woman were exiled not for disobeying God, not for taking responsibility for doing wrong, but to make sure they did not eat from the tree of life, which was really the tree God did not want them to eat from. Because why would the man and the woman want to eat from the tree of life and live forever? They're young already, and young people believe they are indestructible. That's why they take a lot of risks, because they believe that they will live forever. So there's no reason for young people to want to drink from the fountain of youth, because they're already young. So by Torah text, that's the reason. But according to the Jewish tradition, the reason that the man and the woman were exiled from the Garden of Eden was because they did not accept responsibility for doing wrong. They blamed somebody else. Each person blamed somebody else for their own actions. Okay. Now, and be accountable for what you do, and acknowledge what you do. During Yom Kippur, we go, especially Yom Kippur Eve, the Day of Atonement, during the Kol Nidre, we are acknowledging our sins of the past year. When the Kol Nidre is chanted the first time, it's a simple chant, which basically metaphors into saying that we simply acknowledge the sin we committed. We acknowledge and recognize, I did this. Then the next time the Kol Nidre is chanted, it's chanted with angst, and total angst. And metaphorically, that represents the immense remorse. Oh, the total remorse of what we did, of the wrong that we did. Oh, we are so sorry. Oh my God, I am so sorry. I'm so sorry I did this. And I feel horrible that I did it. I am so sorry that I did it. And then the third time it's chanted with conviction. It's chanted with power. And that is represented as saying, we are committed not to do it again. And I swear I will do everything in my power not to repeat this bad thing I did. I'm committed. It won't happen again. I will make sure of it. And that is basically what we're dealing with now. Not really. Because no one is accepting responsibility for what they're doing. Everyone on the left who is blaming Trump for anything that somebody else does. Forget the rhetoric, forget the name calling. They're empty words. Racism, racist, bigot, they're just empty words. They mean nothing to the whole picture and to the real cause of what went wrong. They're empty words, having no meaning whatsoever. One man, and one man only, chose to do the shooting in Walmart. One man chose, and he chose to do that shooting in Dayton, Ohio. And the left and the media keep talking about Trump dividing this country. No. No. Trump is not dividing this country. Do you know who is dividing this country? You are. You are. According to God, every one of us is a free agent. Every one of us has a choice. Choose death or choose life. Please choose life. You can choose between good and wrong. Right and wrong. Please choose right. Every one of us can choose between good and evil. Please choose good. Please don't choose evil. Now, who does more damage? Trump and Trump supporters or the left? The left. Because everyone on the left is not blaming themselves for their own choices. The people who chose to show up at Mitch McConnell's house, the people who chose to show up at Tucker Carlson's house, the people who chose to attack that Asian American, the people who chose to stage these protests, the people who chose to say Trump isn't welcome, the people who chose to protest at the Berkeley College, the people who chose to cause wreak and havoc and attack people, the people who chose to just do bad things in the name of their hatred of the president. So they chose to do that. They chose to do that. Your leader, whoever's ORourke, Maxine Waters, who are shouting, get in their faces, protest, create a mob, and tell them they're not welcome in gas stations, department stores. Hey, they could say, no, I'm not going to do that. You know what? You're a crazy lady. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because that's not nice. That's not good. So, everybody's a free agent. And leaders can shout the loudest, oh, our president's a, if you support Trump, you are a racist, and you should be, we will attack you, we will box you, we will make sure your life is miserable because you support the president. And I choose to do that to you. So who is more responsible for dividing this country, for polarizing this country? The people who choose to commit these acts of evil against society. The people who are protesting against other people, and they're choosing to do it with their mouth. Okay? They chose to shout murder, murder, murder to, I guess his name was Ted Cruz at that airport. They didn't have to do that. They chose to go there. They chose to just shout and intimidate him. They chose to do that. Apparently they want to do that. They like doing that. Because if you don't like it, why do it? Right? If you do something that you like, you do it. If there's something you don't like, you don't do it. So apparently, not only did these people choose to do these antisocial actions and be against other people. They are polarizing society. See, it's the society, it's the group. Remember, I'm a long-time student, a lifelong student of sociology, and I understand about human behavior and behavior within a group. And the behavior of these groups is that they're choosing to be divisive. They could reject the notions of attacking Trump. They could reject the suggestions of the Democrat candidates and other leaders. They could reject what they're being told, which is the way it always was when reporting was fair and balanced. And then people made up their own minds how they feel about it. But now we have the media telling people what to think, telling people what opinions they should have, telling people how to feel. And there are those people who agree with it or choose to agree with it and choose to follow that. And there are those who don't choose to agree with it. I said, you know what? I don't agree with that. And they stop. They said, you know what? I'm not watching them anymore because I don't agree with them. And I can turn it off because I don't agree with it. But I am not going to participate in a violent protest, a violent act. And violence, I learned this too, okay? Violence does not always need to be physical. There are all forms of violence. There's financial violence, there's emotional violence, there's mental violence, there is psychological violence, and I know there's financial violence. Oh yeah. Matter of fact, my family's inflicted financial violence against me. If you don't do what we say, you are going to be cut out of our inheritance. That is financial violence. Violence means aggressively attack somebody else and intimidating that person. So intimidation, which is what happened with the left. And everybody on the left who choose to intimidate others, that is verbal violence. Verbal violence. And what Antifa did to that poor, innocent Asian American in Portland, Oregon, that was physical violence. The people who are attacking New York's finest with water buckets a week ago, that's physical violence. True, they were not hurt, but it's still physical violence. There's financial violence, mental violence. Oh, here's another one. When two parents divorce, and one parent says to the child, your father's an idiot. The mother says, your father's an idiot. He's stupid. You shouldn't be with him. And then the father says to the child, oh, your mother's crazy. You shouldn't be with her. And so the children get in the middle and are used in, I guess this would be psychological violence. It is violence. I'm not sure exactly which violence, but it's still violence. It's still violence. So, and the mother and the father chose So the mother and the father are choosing to commit psychological violence on their child by pitting one against the other. Say, hate your mother, and the other says, hate your father. So it's violence. That is a form of violence. So those who say hate the president, they're committing violence too. Now, the violence is more verbal and psychological. But the people listening, they have a choice. Everybody has a choice. And you can choose to believe what you're told, or you can choose not to believe what you're told. You know? Oh, your father's an idiot. He's an asshole. Don't listen to your father. Oh, your mother's crazy. Don't listen to your mother. She's crazy. She's a loon. She's out of it. That is violence against the child. Because now the child, he's too young to know about choosing. See, we learn about choosing when we become an adult. Actually, we should be taught all along. But the message should be, you are a free agent. You can choose. But you can't choose the rules that we impose on you. Because rules are rules. Whether they're parental rules, societal rules, legal rules like building codes and traffic laws. See? Every place you go has rules. Okay? And those rules should be respected and followed. Can you imagine people who are so against going against the rules of police? How would you like people to do that to people building buildings that have to follow safety code rules? People say, you know what, I don't feel like following these rules. I'll do I don't want to follow these rules. And I'll do what the hell I want to do in wiring this building. Now, I'll tell you another one, right? Just recently, they fired 2 pilots. I think it was from United Airlines for drinking. Now, there's a rule in place that says pilots are not allowed to imbibe any impairing. It's anti-drinking, but I think it should be applied to drugs as well. Would you like your pilot to snort some cocaine before a flight? Do you want your pilot smoking a joint before your flight? Would you trust your pilot in taking you somewhere if they're stoned and high? Would you trust that pilot? Or do you want that pilot to be clear-headed and fly the plane and take you where you need to go? Oh no, it's okay. He can be stoned. I don't mind. Yeah, he can be high. He's a hip pilot. Oh yeah, he's cool. The pilot of my flight. Oh yeah, he's cool. Oh, he smokes pot. Oh, that's so wonderful. Yeah, I trust my pilot more because he smokes the same pot that I do, and I trust him for taking me across the country on a plane. And that pilot chose to go against the rules. And now he's fired. Would you rather him not be fired for not following the rules? That's why rules are so important. And So people are choosing to be antisocial. People are choosing to demonize other people and hate them in their hearts. So who's really who's really dividing our country? Who's really polarizing our society? It's not Trump. And it's not politicians. Hell, politicians used to be called windbags. I remember when say, oh, he's a windbag. Oh, he's a blowhard. Oh, listen to him go on and on and on. After all, he's a politician. Everything that comes out of his mouth is bullcrap. But you know what? That's not that way anymore. Now, Democrats and liberals, they just, like a sponge, they just absorb all of it. And you believe it. But you know what? They're choosing to believe it. So, I'll give you another one, right? You have principles, right? You have principles that you uphold. And nobody is going to compromise that. Because it's principles and values you grew up with. And you've done so well in school. People love you, and you're active. And you're active, and you're bright and sunny. And you brighten people's days. My medicine. Which I take. I could deny it. I could say, you know what, I don't want to take my medicine. And I have that right. But the consequences of not following the rule of taking medicine that helps me, I will experience. So I follow that rule. Okay? So, not forgot what I'm saying. But the point I'm making is, we have a choice. Oh, about principles. Yeah. Okay. We grow up with a set of principles and values. Oh, and our grades show it. We're getting A's in school. We're becoming excited about life and about all the things you want to do in your life. And if somebody comes along and you are bewitched by him, and he says, I want you to go against your values and your principles and do what I want you to do. Get rid of your principles. Get rid of your values. Go against what you've been brought up to do. And I want you to do what I want you to do. And there are some women who forego their values, ignore their values, just throw your values and principles out in the garbage. And it doesn't have to be what he wants you to do. Maybe it's what he wants you to smoke. And you know smoking is wrong. And you wouldn't do it if you wanted to, because you were never interested to do it. You wouldn't go out of your way to say, hey, I want to smoke some pot. No. You're doing it because you, I guess, care more about being with him than you caring about yourself. Well, it's no different than what's going on now. No different. When people just throw away their values and their principles, morals, and they choose to do what others tell them to do. You know, it reminds me of a cult. Yeah. It reminds me of a cult. When children get caught up in cults, and then their parents don't recognize them anymore, and of course they don't recognize their parents anymore. So how different is this from a cult? And people just getting rid of their values, principles, and usually their bank accounts to somebody else. And you know what? They're benefiting and you aren't. You are giving them power. So while the cult leader benefits from money, the people who are pushing others to embrace ideologies, radical ideologies and ways of thinking, and opinions about the president. They're opinions, not facts. They're opinions. What do they get? Do they get you money? Well, some do. Maybe some, yeah, I would say they do. Yeah, now I think about it, yeah, they do. So, because they're getting your money by making it sound like their campaign contributions or financial support for their cause, okay? But you're also giving them power and control. Yeah. So they're benefiting from your loyalty to them, financially and in terms of power and control. Which, yeah, cult leaders do that too. Yeah, that's a pay. I didn't think of that until now. Yeah, that is a payoff for David Koresh, for Jim Jones, and all those other cult leaders. That not only are they benefiting financially from you, but they're also benefiting by acquiring power and control. And the more power and control that they get from you, the worse it gets. The worse it gets. And that's what's happening on YouTube, on Google, because the more people are enslaved by them, the more they control. And they control and become very powerful. And they can pit us one against the other until everybody, well, rather the left anyway, wages war on us. They're already doing it by silencing an American voice. Yeah, American voices are silenced by Big Brother because we have somehow allowed Big Brother to get powerful. And the more powerful Big Brother gets, the more control Big Brother has, and the more enslaved we all become. So if we choose to say, you know what, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Just like I said to that guy who was passing Christian literature. No, I'm sorry. Thank you for your literature. I don't want it. I chose not to take it. That is my right. We all are free agents. And he condemns me for that. For being a free agent and choosing not to take it. Anyway, okay, that's basically all I want to say. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll see you later. Okay, take care. Bye.